The morning fog clung to the manicured lawns of Somerset Haven, a luxury resort nestled along California's central coast. At 6:30 a.m., Vesna Calder sat in her sleek office, the second cup of coffee on her desk already cooling. Her laptop screen glowed with the week's resort schedule. And one line item hit her like a slap: Hartley Evans' engagement celebration. Somerset Haven Ballroom. The name Lila Hartley, her younger sister, stared back at her. No heads up, no approval, no whisper of this event until now. A $300 party booked at her resort. Under her name, without so much as a text. Vesna's breath caught, her fingers hovering over the keyboard as if the entry might vanish. It didn't. She grabbed her phone and dialed Emily, her operations lead, her voice steady but edged with steel. Emily, what do you know about the Hartley Evans engagement booking? A brief pause. Then Emily's calm reply. It came through an external planner. Confirmed by Patricia Hartley. Patricia, their mother. Vesna's jaw tightened. And no one thought to check with the owner before slapping a six-figure event on my calendar? Emily hesitated. The notes said the family has deep ties to the property. Vesna exhaled, pressing her fingers to her temples. Deep ties. Right. As deep as pretending I'm not their daughter. She leaned back, staring out the floor-to-ceiling window. The fog softened the edges of the resort's pristine grounds. But it couldn't blur the memories flooding back. Months spent funding the ballroom's renovation. Handpicking every chandelier, every sconce. Lila had never once asked about Vesna's business. Never shown a flicker of interest in the empire she'd built brick by brick. Vesna stood, grabbed her coat, and headed to the lobby mailbox on autopilot. No invitation, no note, nothing. Out of habit, she opened Instagram, and there it was. Lila's engagement announcement. A glossy reel of her fiancé, Ethan Evans, proposing on a yacht, followed by airbrushed selfies captioned, "He said forever." One photo showed Lila posing in front of Somerset Haven's ballroom, her smile radiant. No mention of Vesna. The next morning, Vesna took the long route through the resort's main corridor to the event wing. At 27, she carried herself with quiet authority, black slacks, tailored blazer, hair pulled back in a low bun. The hallway smelled of polished wood and gardenias, a scent she loved before the chaos of bridal parties and camera crews took over. In the ballroom, two staff members were arranging velvet chairs. Vesna circled the perimeter, checking lighting fixtures she'd chosen herself. A tall man in a crisp suit, probably an early guest, approached with a frothy latte in hand. "Hey, are you with the cleaning crew from their last venue? You look familiar." His tone was casual, friendly even. Vesna paused, then forced a polite smile. Something like that. She didn't correct him, didn't say her name was on the deed. What was the point? In the corner, Lila's laughter cut through the air. Sharp and performative, she was surrounded by her bridal party. All extensions of her glow. None aware of Vesna's presence, or maybe they just didn't care. Vesna slipped out, heading toward the loading dock where catering staff were unloading crates. She didn't mean to eavesdrop. But voices carried. "Should we limit staff access during the rehearsal?" one asked. The planner, a woman with a headset and a clipboard, replied without missing a beat. "Bride's family wants minimal interference. No outsiders, just house staff. No surprises, no outsiders." Vesna's chest tightened. They hadn't forgotten her. They'd just written a script for this day where she didn't exist. That night, in her suite's dimly lit balcony, Vesna opened her laptop to the guest list. Her name was nowhere, not as owner, not as family, not even as a courtesy nod. They wanted her venue, her lighting, her brand, but not her. She closed the laptop, her hand brushing the glass of sparkling water she hadn't touched. "This is mine," she whispered to the empty air, to the truth hanging heavy around her. Every brick, every contract, every policy, yet they'd booked it like it was just another rental. Like she was the stranger. At 6:30 the next morning, Vesna was up, sleepless, not from anger but from a body that refused to rest. As if it sensed she'd been erased and needed to stay sharp. Dressed in her usual black work attire, she walked to the event wing under the guise of a safety check. Staff buzzed around, hauling floral crates. unfolding linens, tweaking uplighting. The planner barked orders into her headset like a film director. Vesna stayed on the edges, inspecting outlets and exit signs, details no one noticed until they failed. Then she saw it. Behind the check-in table, partially hidden by a clipboard. A printed guest list, color-coded, alphabetized. She scanned it. No Vesna Calder. Not under family. Not under vendors. Not under acknowledgements. She stood frozen, willing the paper to change. The planner leaned over, shifting the clipboard, and smiled without recognition. Need something, miss? Just passing through, Vesna said, turning away. As she reached the ballroom's main aisle, Lila swept in, a vision in a white jumpsuit that probably cost more than Vesna's first car. Ethan trailed behind, a polished accessory in designer loafers. Cameras orbited them. Lila posed mid-laugh, chin tilted, eyes locked on her reflection in someone's sunglasses. Vesna ducked behind the AV station to check the sound system before the rehearsal playlist loaded. But as she stood, she froze. Lila was staring right at her, or through her. The smile vanished. Then, in front of the cameras, Lila's voice rang out. Who let that woman in? She's ruining the shot. Heads turned, louder now, to a security guard adjusting a spotlight. Get her out. Seriously, kick that beggar out before she wrecks the aesthetic. The room went silent. Vesna didn't flinch. She met the guard's eyes. Jake, 22, first season at the resort, and gave a slight nod. It's okay. He didn't move, but she did. She walked out, steps deliberate, every glance a pinprick on her back. No one spoke, not even Lila. Through the service corridor, Vesna emerged into the back garden. Overhead, bistro lights flickered as a staffer tested them. They don't even know whose lights these are, she said aloud. To no one, to the truth clinging to the air. Laughter echoed from the ballroom. A sound that carved no space for her. A sound from a world she'd never belonged to. Even when she paid for the door. The air in Somerset Haven's grand ballroom felt electric. Heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. It was 4:15 p.m., and the Hartley Evans engagement party was in full swing. Guests in velvet gowns and tailored suits mingled under the glow of Vesna Calder's hand-picked chandeliers. Their laughter bouncing off walls she'd reinforced to keep the music crisp. Vesna, 27, stood just behind a velvet curtain near the service door. Her tailored black blazer and simple heels a stark contrast to the ostentatious crowd. Her keycard, clipped to her waist, was her quiet badge of authority. She'd given the AV team precise instructions, and they'd followed them like soldiers. At 4:17 p.m., the house lights dimmed. A hush fell over the room. The massive screen flickered to life with gold titles, celebrating a legacy of love. But 10 seconds in, the polished montage glitched. A raw, shaky phone video replaced it. Lila Harley's voice sliced through the silence. Unmistakable and venomous. Get her out. Seriously, kick that beggar out before she wrecks the aesthetic. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A fork clattered to the floor. The clip lasted 7 seconds. Unfiltered, unpolished, a truth laid bare. The screen went black. Vesna stepped out from behind the curtain. Her steps deliberate, her face calm but unyielding. Every eye turned to her. Some confused, others curious. She reached the center stage mic, letting the silence stretch just long enough to feel it. I'm sorry for the interruption, she began, her voice steady, cutting through the tension like a blade. My name is Vesna Calder. I am the founder and sole owner of Somerset Haven. The room held its breath. Lila stood frozen beside her fiancé, Ethan Evans, her face drained of color. Her jaw locked. Vesna's gaze didn't waver. This venue was offered in good faith. That faith was violated. The business you're standing in was built brick by brick, contract by contract, by someone you just heard called a nuisance. A problem, a blemish. Murmurs stirred, but Vesna's voice rose above them. Effective immediately. The Hartley Evans engagement event is cancelled. Guests are welcome to stay for refreshments. But this facility will no longer support this performance. A woman near the catering table set her glass down and started clapping. Slow at first, then joined by a man near the AV booth. Vesna didn't ask for applause. She wasn't here for redemption, she was here for correction. She stepped off the stage, weaving through stunned guests, past Lila's wide-eyed bridal party, and out the main exit. As she passed the corridor, a young server, barely 20, balancing a tray of shrimp skewers, whispered, "I'm glad someone finally said it." Vesna gave her a nod. Just once. Outside, the California sun dipped behind the trees, the breeze tugging at the linen banners on the terrace. For the first time, Vesna wasn't slipping away quietly. They'd given Lila the spotlight, Vesna had given her the floor, and then taken it back. Earlier that day, Vesna had set the wheels in motion. At dawn, she'd paced her office, the printer humming as it spat out a 6-page document sent by her friend Rachel Glass, a 2022 California Women in Business Grant application. Awarded under Vesna Calder's name, but submitted by Lila's event company. The business plan was Vesna's, lifted word for word from a LinkedIn post. The financials were pulled from a panel she'd spoken at years ago. Lila had claimed to be Somerset Haven's founder, pocketing the funds for a spa-themed brunch she'd branded as her own. Vesna didn't scream or throw the papers. She slid them into a folder and marched to the ballroom, where Lila was directing the placement of a floral arch like a Hollywood starlet. "Dahlia," Vesna said, her voice calm but firm. Lila turned, half smiling, but the smile faltered when she saw the folder. Vesna handed her the document. "This ring a bell?" Lila glanced at it, then shrugged. "Vase. That's old. I didn't think you'd care." Vesna's eyes narrowed. "You didn't think I'd care that you used my name, my credentials, to claim you founded my business?" Lila laughed. A weak attempt at dismissal. "It was just paperwork. You weren't using it." Vesna stepped closer. "You lied. On a government-funded application. You didn't just steal credit, you cashed the benefits." Lila's voice sharpened. "It's not that serious. You always make everything dramatic." The planner, vendors, and a sound tech paused. Sensing the shift, Lila's tone turned venomous, loud enough for an audience. "Let's not pretend people like you, Vesna. They tolerate you because you pay for things. Take away your money, and what's left? Nobody. You're just sad and alone." The room stilled. A waiter froze mid-pour. Vesna took a breath, counted 3 seconds, and folded the document neatly. She walked to a nearby trash bin and dropped it inside. "Thanks for clearing that up," she said evenly. Turning to the planner, she added, "Start making calls. You'll need a new venue." She didn't wait for a reply, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. By noon, Vesna had sent a mass email to all vendors and contractors, effective immediately. Somerset Haven disclaims financial responsibility for any unpaid balances, services, or deliveries for the Hartley Evans engagement. Further work without clearance is at your own risk. She attached a voided contract, stamped in red ink, and blind copied her department leads. Calls flooded in, panicked vendors. A cake company threatening to halt delivery. A string quartet canceling outright. Vesna let Emily field them, her voice a calm guillotine. Contact the client directly for payment. Vesna's only reply to the chaos was a single line forwarded to the planner. "If they want a $300 party, they can pay for it." That afternoon, Vesna gathered her events team in the staff kitchen. Some folded napkins, others sipped iced coffee, their laughter fading as she spoke. "I know this week's been heavy," she said. "You've handled it with more grace than I could have asked for. But as of now, no staff is to continue setup or service for this event without a new contract. Paid in full. This isn't a favor, it's business." Emily stood beside her, arms crossed, nodding. They weren't just drawing a line, they were building a wall. Later, Vesna scrolled Instagram, pausing on a story from Patricia, a photo of a gold bracelet. Captioned, "So touched by Lila's gift. She always remembers the details." Vesna's stomach twisted. She'd chosen that bracelet, had it shipped with a handwritten note. But of course, Lila took the credit. Vesna didn't comment or correct her. She hit mute story and poured her cold tea down the sink. That evening, she sent one final email to the planner. As of 6 p.m., access to Somerset Haven's ballroom is restricted without full payment. Non-negotiable. VC. No pleasantries. Just consequences. The next morning, the resort was quiet. The chaos of the previous day reduced to a few vendors packing up. Vesna walked the grounds, passing a discarded napkin embroidered with Lila's initials. She didn't pick it up. Let Lila come back for her things. Vesna was done carrying them. Emily handed her a manila envelope from Ethan's family, a partial refund. No note. Vesna signed it without a word. The last check they'll ever cash with my name. That evening, Somerset Haven hosted a vow renewal for a couple in their 60s. A small gathering of 30 guests. Vesna stood at the back. Ginger ale in hand, anonymous and content. A girl, maybe 8, chasing a bubble wand, stopped and looked up. Are you the owner lady? Vesna smiled. Yeah, I am. The girl grinned. Cool, I wanna be like you. Something in Vesna's chest unclenched. Not because she needed admiration, but because someone had seen her without her having to shout. Back in her office, Vesna opened a new file. Vesna Calder. Personal. She hit record. I used to think love meant sacrifice. Give until it hurts. But love without respect is just performance. And I'm done auditioning. She saved the file, turned off the light, and walked out. Some learn love through praise. Others through silence. Vesna learned it by walking away, not cruelty, but survival. They lost their sponsor. She found her voice. Her story isn't just about reclaiming a venue. It's about reclaiming herself. Being needed isn't being loved. Giving until you're empty doesn't make you noble, it makes you invisible. Setting boundaries isn't pushing others away. It's choosing yourself after choosing everyone else for too long. If this resonates, drop a 1 in the comments or share where you're watching from. If it doesn't, tell me what's missing, what story you need. We grow when we share. Subscribe for more raw, real stories, because the most powerful thing you can do is stop shrinking for those who were never meant to see your full size.